And as far as I know, my aunt was the only adult who actively brought us, their kids to march.
And how long do you say was it years that you marched, or?
In Enfield, no, because it moved on. It moved.
Okay.
It moved on. It was a movement. So they picked towns, and you would protest in that town. Certain things would or would not happen, and then you moved on. Like we traveled from Milton to Enfield, which is about 30 miles maybe. And when they left Enfield to go to Raleigh, I think, we did not go to Raleigh. We protested in Enfield. And that was where, when that was over, then we actually didn't protest anymore, not actively.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time, I think in Enfield, it was from 63 to 64, something like that. And I graduated high school in 1966. And I think I had cousins that went to, quote unquote, the white school in 1967. So I think the school integrated in my town in 67, maybe some part of 66, I'm not sure. But I graduated from my segregated high school. But I have a sister who did not and a brother who did not.
Now, did you get cattle pronged?
Yeah.
Pronged?
They were, it's an electrical shock you get that's...
Can you tell us about that, when that happened?
Well, they're prongs like this, and they would try to herd you along, actually. So they would stick prongs in you, to get up, because we folded. We just went down, and then that's how they would get you up.
Mm. So, and how long in a day would these protests last usually?
We would leave home probably around 8 o'clock, something like that, and we get home way after midnight. But the protest didn't necessarily go that long, because once after a certain point, we would disband and go back to this house, and there would be, food or whatever, and then everybody would go home. They'd make a plan for the next week, and everybody would go home.
Did they ever threaten your aunt's life or anything? Seemed like she was very active.
I've asked her that. At the time, it never occurred to me that they might. And I know that my aunt saw the butler and was very upset about it, because she actually never went out on the lines. So unless you see what happens, you don't really know what happens. Sometimes hearing a story is a lot different than seeing it. Mm-hmm. And when she saw the butler, she was really upset. And she called all of us and said she had no idea what she was taking us into. She had no idea how violent it was. And she was right there, but she was one of the people organizing, and she just actually never went out to the lines.
Did you realize how violent it was while you were doing it?
There's a certain amount of adrenaline that you have that you actually don't think about that. You don't think about that. I got beaten up, and I didn't think about that. I don't remember that hurting me. I remember I was bruised and sore and black eyes the next day, and some of it that night, but I don't remember hurting. I mean, I kept on singing. What can you do?
That's amazing.
So that was, and the cow prongs, you got a shock. It was just like a shock, but you didn't think about it. You didn't think about, I'm being hurt now, or I'm in danger. I mean, it was a lot of stuff going on, and you didn't process all of that. You just dealt with the energy that was around you.
Now, did the people in your town, your aunt, uncles, relatives, did they have problems voting? Was some of the protests for voting too? Yeah, it was some voting, employment, integrating the employment of stores and
the movie theaters and stuff like that. I don't really know that my aunt, my family per se, had any problems. I think the thing with the voting had to be with, and I'm not sure that I even know how to put this. Usually when you're, in the little small towns, everybody knows everybody else. So everybody knows that Mr. Joseph Smith didn't go to school. Everybody knows he uses the X. Everybody knows that Miss So-and-so has it going on. She knows everything. She's smart. She teaches, or she's just